Siri, unlock the front door.
You'll need to continue on your iPhone or iPad.
Siri, disarm the alarm.
You'll need to continue on your iPhone or iPad.
Siri, open the garage door.
You'll need to continue on your
okay.
iPhone or iPad.
It's the last straw.
I'm Patrick Hunt, and I want you to like smart home tech as much as I do. Real solutions with Matter, Apple Home, and a little creativity. Weekly, I'll show you how small upgrades can make a big difference. Welcome.
Apple does not allow you to control your security devices through your HomePod. This needs to be done through your personal device. This is a security feature, so someone couldn't yell through the window to unlock your front door or turn off your security system. So I'm just going to give you one example of several uses for a dummy switch or a virtual switch in Apple Home. We're using the virtual accessories for Homebridge plugin to create a dummy switch which toggles on and off. We're going to bring that dummy switch into Apple Home and stick it in an invisible room, basically just a room that I'm never going to interact with. If you stopped here, you could just sit and toggle the switch on and off all day long and it would do absolutely nothing. Or maybe a stranger somewhere is getting stabbed in the eye every single time you turn it on. I don't know, I can't know for sure. Dummy switches need a purpose, which usually comes in the form of an automation. There's actually a really great example of a dummy switch being used in my Introduction to Automations video. The dummy switch turns on when my wife arrives home, and it turns off when she leaves. This allowed me to create an automation that only ran when she was home, or when the switch was in the on position, and you can watch that video right there. Another great use for a dummy switch is vacation mode. If you have time-based automations that are running throughout the day, you could factor in a condition that says, hey, don't run when vacation mode is on. Although, I can imagine there's some automations you would want to keep running when you're on vacation, like lights turning on and off, to make it look like you're home. Let's just hope the burglars don't watch YouTube. So we're using it today, though, to break all the rules. We're gonna make it look like our front door, our alarm system, and our garage aren't security devices. Because functionally, the dummy switch is not a security device. It's just a basic on and off switch. And we're gonna do this and retain the logic that we know and love. I wanna be able to tell Siri to unlock my front door from my phone, my watch, from CarPlay, and I don't want to use some weird wording like trigger the front door or something nerdy like that. So I don't want this solution to conflict with that in any way, but I'll come back to that. So let's set up this dummy. First, you're going to go to Homebridge. And if you don't know what that is, watch this video right here. We're using the virtual accessories for Homebridge plugin. Install it. Let's click Add New Accessory. The ID is just 5 random numbers and letters. Accessory name. This is where we get to have some fun, and we'll come back to this. Type is a switch to keep it simple. Accessory is stateful, and we'll keep default state as off. You only need to connect what they call a child bridge to Apple Home once, and then after that, all virtual accessories will just show up once you add them in Homebridge. So let's go back to the naming of these dummy switches. This is the part that Siri on your HomePod is going to be looking for when you say the command. The automations that you'll create later in Apple Home connecting the virtual switch to the real switch, that naming convention doesn't matter so much, but I wouldn't get terribly cute with it because you want to know what automations you're looking at when you're scrolling down the list. I wanted to name them all the actions that I was performing, like unlock the front door, open the garage door, turn off our alarm system. But Siri would get confused and prioritize the real lock, so it would keep telling me that I needed to unlock my personal device in order to run this command. And then, since these are switches, the command you use matters as well. So you wouldn't open a switch. You would turn on a switch, you would enable a switch, you wouldn't close a switch, you would turn it off, you would disable it. And you can play around with this and figure out what Siri will respond to. So I named the virtual switch for the front door lock just front door lock. And then I used the command turn on the front door lock. And this actually did work, it unlocked the front door. But I realized the logic just wasn't there. This wasn't something I was ever gonna naturally say, naturally remember. Why don't we make talking to Siri through the HomePod sound as stupid as it feels sometimes? And so I decided to get creative with the naming here. So for the front door lock, I called it the main portal. For the security system, I called it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life!
And for the garage door, I called it Mach Speed. You can think of these as audio passwords. And honestly, they're as complicated as passwords are these days. I had to avoid using words that Siri recognizes for other things. Sometimes it played music, sometimes it tried to search the web, and so I just tried to name them something stupid that wouldn't be confused with something else. The most important part with the naming is that Siri is looking for the name of the switch not the name of the automation. And so let's go back to these automations. You're gonna create 2 automations for every virtual switch. And all of the triggers are going to be when an accessory is controlled. You're gonna choose one of your virtual switches. In this case, we're gonna choose that front door lock, which I called the main portal. We're gonna tap that, hit next. We're gonna turn that on. And we're gonna say when this turns on, we're gonna go to the real device of the front door and we're gonna say unlock. So effectively, when we say Siri, turn on this virtual device, that is then going to unlock the front door. The reason we need to create a second automation for this is now this switch is permanently in this state. We want it to flow with the state of that door locking and unlocking. So now it's on while the door is unlocked. Now we're gonna create an automation that is exactly backwards of this automation. We're gonna go to the real door lock and we're gonna say when the door locks, we want the virtual switch to turn off. Therefore, making it ready for the next time we have that Siri command to turn it on. So 2 automations for every one of these security devices.
Okay. Siri, enable the main portal. Siri, disable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's amazing. I've got the same combination on my luggage.
Siri, enable Mach speed.
Am I gonna keep this nonsense in place? I don't know. Let's just say I had a really hard time shooting what you just saw because I kept forgetting the names of the switches. Maybe I should just go back to the more traditional naming, like front door lock trigger, security system trigger, garage door trigger. Those all worked absolutely fine. So I don't know, maybe I'll do that. Or you know what? I don't know. But you'll just have to stick around and see.